Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Thursday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let's see what happened today. So today being Thursday, Rafa was off, so it was me and Jacob here indoors, and the rest of the team in the paint booth and in the outside upholstery areas and stuff like that. So why don't we take a look at what happened with these cars here today, and then maybe we'll go take a peek at some upholstery. Anyway, so yeah, trying to think of the order that I did things. I think I more or less, actually here, started the day on this guy, which is the 64 Beetle that's getting an engine upgrade, transmission regear / rebuild, and converting to 12 volts and stuff. So if you follow the channel, you know that this car has been irritating me with some oil leaks that seem kind of persistent despite my efforts to fix them, doing things that usually fix oil leaks. So today I went ahead and here, let me grab this. Decided to just change out the sump plate and the drain bolt here. I don't know. So I actually took this without a crush gasket in it and screwed it in all the way. And I'm sure you can't really tell on the video, but in person, it looks like the threads that this screw into the plate are sitting at an angle. In other words, not, perfectly, I guess, vertical, the threads in this view here. And so I kind of thought it looked like that. So I ran this in all the way by hand, again, with no crush washer in there. And I started shoving a feeler gauge under it between the sump plate itself and the underside of the head of this thing. And there was like a 4 or 5 thou difference between the side where I put the Sharpie and the other side, which does kind of tell me that it is sitting at an angle. And you wouldn't think that 4 or 5 thousandths of an inch, which is, basically like the width of a human hair, give or take, would be enough. But guys, I can't find any other reason why this combination here was leaking other than the fact that this doesn't seem like it's sitting really flush. You would think that the crush washer would easily be able to accommodate that, but I guess, I don't know, since the threads on here are at an angle, I guess when you're screwing it down, I don't know, guys, but so I got a good used sump plate, an original one from our friends at Washburn's Metal, who happened to have one in stock that had already been sandblasted and stuff. And then I picked up a new drain plug with a magnet on it from AJ over at Low Bucket. And so, yeah, I went ahead and put on the new drain plate and put it on with gasket shellac and a new gasket, of course. And then likewise put in the new drain plug with the magnet on it with a new crush washer and also gasket shellac on like the threads and both sides of the crush washer and stuff like that. So put all that back together. And then what I did differently than the other times too is that I did not put the oil back in the car. So I thought, you know what, let me let this thing sit overnight with all the shellac in there and stuff like that I applied, and hope that maybe, curing overnight or something before oil is sort of challenging it, so to speak. I don't know. So in the morning, I will add oil back to this motor and keep my fingers crossed that the leaks are now a thing of the past. The other thing I did with respect to the leak is on the oil, I'll show you, it's a little crowded here, but on the oil filter adapter right there, the fitting closest to us there was leaking. So I pulled the fitting out, and honestly, guys, it looked like the threads, the female threads in the adapter were just kind of ugly. I don't know. I mean, it's a brand new part, but again, guys, the quality of parts these days definitely seems to be going downhill. So I think it's just like ugly threads, and it just wasn't making, I mean, it's tight and it's not like it's going to come out, but I think maybe the female threads on the adapter were like just ugly enough that the sealant that I usually use, which usually does a fantastic job of sealing pipe threads like that, just wasn't quite cutting it. So pulled that out and put a couple wraps of Teflon tape in it. I know what everyone's going to say. I don't want to hear it. I've been doing this for years, never had a problem. Anyway, so yeah, put some Teflon tape on it carefully and reassembled it. And I'm expecting that to not leak now too. So we'll see, guys. But yeah, this car is really kind of irritating me here with the oil leaks. And so hopefully what I did today, fingers crossed, take care of that. So started my day with that and then moved to this beauty here and took it for another good test ride. I haven't taken it on the torture test yet. I wanted to put some more, like kind of easier miles on it first to check the carburetor tune and stuff like that. So I took it on my usual, it's like a 7 or 8 mile loop around Orange, no real hills or anything too challenging, but definitely enough to get it up to operating temperature and so on. So did that and brought it back, and when it was fully warmed up, the idle speed was a bit too low and it was trying to kind of stall. So fiddled with the carburetor mixture and the essentially like idle speed essentially on it some more and got it to a point where it seems good. So I need to take it out and take it for another good spin and make sure that when it's fully warmed up that it's good, the idle, everything, not too high, not too low, etc. And then assuming that goes well, then it's going to be torture test time for this one, where I take it on my 18 mile or so loop around Orange and Anaheim hills that includes some hills that are quite long and torturing. So yeah, anyway, slowly but surely, guys, getting this thing all dialed in here. And so took that one for a spin, tuned the carburetor a little bit, and that was pretty much this one for today. So I mentioned Jacob was in today. So another thing that I did this morning was actually I took this car on a test drive today too. So I've been kind of neglecting this car. So I thought, okay, I need to get back to this thing. And the next thing that I needed to do, which I did today, was to take it for a test drive and see how it was running with the carburetors that I had rebuilt. And the one I knew had a leaky shaft on it, but not a leaky shaft. I knew, for example, that it was, I knew that it was for a fact that it was, the shaft was a little loose, but I didn't really know if it was affecting how the car was running or not. So took it for a spin, and yeah, on the low end, like pulling through the low speed circuit of the motor, just very like sputtery and kind of icky. And so brought it back here and started spraying carburetor cleaner around the shaft on this carburetor. I'm pointing to where the carburetor would go. It's obviously not there right now. I'll come back to that. And yeah, as soon as I sprayed carburetor cleaner around where the shaft is on the outside of the carburetor, where it comes through, the idle speed changed drastically, like right away. So that tells you that there's a lot of air essentially being sucked in through there, enough that it made a really big difference. So yeah, my suspicion was correct. That carburetor on that side was trash, totally wore out. And so again, we replaced things like that in pairs because it's not like the other one was brand new. They weren't even a match set. So went ahead and ordered, and hopefully have it soon. I don't know when it's going to come. I need to talk to my parts guy, but yeah, ordered a new set of ICT carburetors, getting new manifolds, getting a new hex bar linkage that'll run across there. That usually those work a bit better than the central type. And so as soon as that comes in, we'll go ahead and put that on. But anyway, coming back to Jacob for a minute. So yeah, I went ahead and had Jacob pull the whole intake system off here. So he did a great job, of course. And so now this car is pretty much sitting, waiting for its new intake system to come in. You can see we got paper towels stuffed down the intake ports there to make sure nothing inadvertently falls in them while the car is just kind of sitting here. And here's the old parts here. So that was pretty much this one's day. So now it's just in a holding pattern here, waiting for those carburetors to come in. I did actually discuss via text this project because I had mentioned something about the car probably leaving pretty soon. He actually wants to do some interior work which the car definitely needs it, guys. Look at this headliner. It's all like hanging down like headliners do when they've seen better days. So yeah, I think we're gonna do a headliner, probably the seats, which need some love, and the carpet, which needs some love. So yeah, I think we're gonna do some upholstery work on this car, and then probably new window seals while we're at it. And yeah, between those things and then getting the motor running good with the new carbs and stuff, this thing should really be a cool and fun driver. The other thing he's asking us to do, which we're happy to do, I need to source it, is to put a back seat in it, because he does have children or kids that he wants to be able to throw in here and take around. So I need to hunt down a back seat for this car so we can put that in when we do the upholstery. But yeah, so it looks like this one will probably be around for a bit longer here, getting some upholstery work as well. So that is it for that one. The Java Green 67 Beetle, which is outside right now because our upholstery magician, otherwise known as Santiago, is actually starting the headliner on that car. So that's a pretty big deal that it's getting its headliner. And yeah, no reason to not do that right now. It's there's no impact on the body of the car not being on the chassis. You can do that. You can't really do a carpet kit when the body is off the chassis, but you can do headliner, no problem. I guess you could do at least part of the carpet kit, but it doesn't really make any sense. So yeah, in the meantime, the headliner will be going in. He's starting on that literally today. Let's go outside for a second and show the other upholstery job that he just finished. So hold on. Okay, here we go, guys. So this is a maybe 70 Ghia, give or take. And this car is from another shop, and they didn't do like a full restoration on it. The car's got kind of an older paint job on it. It's a good looking car from a distance. You don't want to look too close at it because it does have some flaws in it. But anyway, so the reason they brought it to us is they had another shop that they usually use do a convertible top, and the outside of it, the canvas looked pretty great. However, here's the big however, the headliner on this thing, guys, was pretty much atrocious. It looked terrible. Like, it had wrinkles all over the place, and it wasn't even attached properly. If I can get the camera, it wasn't even attached properly over here or back there. It was embarrassing. I don't know who did that headliner, but guys, it was really bad. So he was asking us if we could fix that headliner, and so Santiago kind of started tearing it apart, and there was just no way. It was way too short in some areas, like I mentioned. Over here, it wasn't even reaching this area. Just tons and tons of problems. So the only way really to fix it was to start from scratch and make a new one. So here you see our version of what a headliner should look like in a convertible Ghia. So yeah, came out really nice. Anyway, big project though, because you have to almost redo the whole thing to do the headliner. So when you're doing the upholstery on these cars, the headliner goes in first, and then the padding, and then finally the canvas goes on the outside. So pretty much he had to pull the entire thing apart basically down to the frame. Luckily he was able to kind of like detach the canvas around the edges and stuff and sort of peel it back, and then peel back the padding in there enough to where he could get in and then do the headliner itself, and then kind of put everything back and get everything looking good. It was like missing one of the latches on one of this side, where when you fold the top open, that latches it, like one of those was just missing, and the windows were very poorly aligned. I mean, it had some issues, guys, but yeah, anyway, so that's kind of what Santiago has been working on. And now he is, speaking of the 67 Beetle, starting to do preparation work for the new headliner. So you see some of these areas, you gotta sand it, you gotta scuff it pretty good to make sure that the material and the glue has like a good, kind of rough surface to stick to. So yeah, he has started that preparation work there. So coming right along. All right, let's go back inside. Okay guys, so that's pretty much what happened around here today. So thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye.